Joining us right now, a legend, the retired Navy Admiral William McRaven. He led the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. His new book is out this week. It is called Duty, Honor, Country, and Life, a tribute to the American spirit. And we're going to talk a lot about that, but I do want to get your thoughts on this news this morning. You and I had an opportunity to talk down in New Orleans at the Tulane Book Festival when all of this really just had begun. Right. And I think there were a lot of questions about where it was going to go. You were skeptical that we could find a solution to this. Does this give you any more hope?
Well, as we say in the military, hope is not a strategy. Right. So, yeah, it would be great to get the Iranians to the negotiating table. But I still think there are going to be some red lines that they're going to draw that they're going to be problematic for the Trump administration. But certainly getting them to the table that's the first step. You got to do that.
The biggest issue, though, has always been about controlling the Strait, right? And so my question to you is, do you see a way of controlling the Strait without boots on the ground?
Without boots on the ground?
I mean, you looked at this before yourself.
Yeah. And I've been through the Strait a number of times. I mean, I don't think you have to put boots on the ground, but it is risky. If you're talking about putting a military convoy, as we did back in the 80s, you are still going to be threatened by Iranian drones, Iranian short-range ballistic missiles, the fast attack boats. So if the Iranians continue to hold the Strait hostage with, again, whether it's mines or fast attack boats, then it becomes a very challenging problem.
We just had a guest on, Jared Cohen, who had just come from the Middle East, and he said that the view was that that's what they were going to try to do for as long as humanly possible.
Of course. So somebody asked me the other day if I was advising the president, what would I advise him on? I would say, look, if you want to get the Iranians to the negotiating table, you're going to have to lift the blockade. The problem is, from the president's standpoint, the blockade is his leverage. But from the Iranian standpoint, the straits are their leverage. So you say, look, we'll part of the ceasefire, you lift the blockade, but you open the straits. And then we'll begin the negotiations.
Isn't that why we did the blockade to begin with? Because they weren't really opening the strait?
Sure, but from the Iranian standpoint, the blockade is a violation of international law. Yeah. And therefore, of course, it's crushing them economically.
But so is the closure of the strait.
Of course it is. Of course it is. But again, from the president's standpoint, you want to end up at a better strategic position after all this is done. So the Trump administration wants the straits open. Right? And they want to figure out a way to ensure that the Iranians reduce the enrichment of the uranium. Those are the two objectives he really needs to have at this point in time. You have to bring them to the negotiating table. And if the foreign minister comes and they have good discussions, great. But you could lift the blockade and they open the strait, and that becomes part of the initial negotiation. And the blockade, it's a switch. So if all of a sudden they are not complying with, then you flip the switch and the blockade goes back on.
Let me ask you a question. As somebody who looked at this issue of Iran for a very long time in your position prior, we talked to the president on this program earlier this week, and he made a comment that I think struck some people, which was that he said he was surprised to some degree about the retaliation against the UAE. Yeah. And I'm curious, just when you walked through the permutations of the various places and issues that could arise if you struck Iran in the past, I would have thought that was on the list.
Yeah, certainly retaliation was on the list, but we would have thought it at our air bases in Al Udeid, and again, UAE, we have some air bases in UAE. Hitting, the high-rise apartments and the hotels in UAE, that was something I think probably surprised a lot of people. But no, retaliating against U.S. or Israeli interests in the Gulf, absolutely on the table.
But you would have not put on the table the idea of some of these broader efforts, which really have then, in some ways, by the way, consolidated some of the interests in the Middle East with the U.S., and maybe that's a good thing in the end.
Yeah, but again, what I would offer is, I think the Iranians have, again, from a tactical standpoint, they played this pretty well, because by going after the Kuwaitis and the Saudis and the Qataris and the Emiratis, now they've inflamed the whole region, and they have it a little bit again, held hostage. This means the economy is going up, the global economy is rising, as you all know. This puts a lot of pressure on President Trump. Right. So it was a tactic. I'm not sure we thought about it in that much detail in terms of the civilian targets that the Iranians would come after.
In some ways, though, it probably backfires on them to be attacking their neighbors in the Gulf, because long term, those neighbors have now gotten to the point where they say, forget it, go ahead and take these guys out.
Yeah, of course. But I think the neighbors always wanted the Iranians taken out. Yeah. So,
but probably much more willing to make deals with the Israelis at this point, I would guess.
Yeah. Again, it's a calculated response on the part of the Iranians.
Yeah.
But one thing I've said from the very beginning is, if the regime in Iran survives, they win.
If they survive, they win. What does that mean?
If they survive, they win. So look, at the end of the day, the president hoped to change the regime in Iran. That was always going to be challenging. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It was always going to be challenging. And if the regime survives, then over time they continue to rebuild, unless you can get them to the table and they agree, and you can have inspectors that they're not going to continue to enrich the uranium, to the level that you can build a bomb on. So,
if the president read your book, what would he learn?
Well, my book, this Duty, Honor, Country, and Life, really is about what I think are the important values for America. I mean, this is, if you have any concerns about the future of the country, which I know a lot of people do today, I hope you'll read it because, I travel all around the country, and I teach at the University of Texas. I spend a lot of time with the millennials and the Gen Z, and with older generations as well. But there are so many good people out in the United States on both sides of the aisle. The values that we really, take as part of our national DNA, right. The idea of equality and justice and civility and perseverance. I mean, these things, you see them everywhere you go.
Go back to civility for a second.
Yeah.
What do you think has happened to civility in this country, and how, to the extent you think that it is being challenged politely, what do you do about it?
Yeah, well, I mean, in my book, I talk about the fact that George Washington had a little book that he carried around with him called The Rules of Civility and Decency. And he made sure his officers read this. It was about what he expected military men of that era to be gentlemen, right. To, again, be civil in their actions. You go forward about 100 years, and John Stuart Mill in his book on liberty talked about civility. And the reason it was important was because if you want to have competing ideas that move the country forward, you're going to have civil discussions. And you need to bring the bold ideas and the irreverent ideas forward, because that's how we progress. That's how you solve problems.
Right.
But you're not going to do that if you're not civil.
Okay, but what do you do about it? I think we are at a period where civility has been lost.
Yeah. Well,
and you're saying you're meeting lots of people who are very civil, and that's
absolutely
true. But you probably have to hand out some of these booklets.
Yeah. But here's what I'd offer is, it's up to us. A lot of people want to blame everything on Washington. Well, guess what? It's still a democracy. If we don't like our leaders at the local, state, or federal level, vote them out.
Oh, no. But what I'm wondering is I'm not actually blaming Washington. Because I think Washington is just a mirror. I think it's a reflection on America.
I would disagree with you there.
Okay.
Again, it's a mirror of certain parts of the country. But the majority of the people in America are terrific people. And I think they are civil. I mean, here I am in New York City. Everywhere I go, I'm surprised by the graciousness of New Yorkers. I mean, it's because that's not the general reputation. They're great people out here.
You're on Twitter?
No, if you're on Twitter, sure, because it's anonymous. Because a lot of times people can be, and this is the issue with civility, is yes, we've lost it because to some degree social media allows you to be anonymous and allows you to, rip people apart without having to suffer the consequences.
I got one more for you. You touch on it in the book. Just the idea of duty to country.
Yep.
That seems to be something that feels lost as well.
Yeah, and again, I would disagree with you. I'm the biggest fan of the millennials and the Gen Z you'll ever meet. And this idea that somehow they are these soft, entitled little snowflakes, that I'm quick to point out you've never seen them in a firefight in Afghanistan or going to the University of Texas to make a better life for themselves. They believe in duty. I mean, just take a look at the kids coming into the military, but it's not just them. It's the first responders. It's the nurses and the doctors. It's people that have a duty to this country. It doesn't have to be in uniform. It's still out there. It's out there and it's powerful. And they believe that we as Americans are the good guys. And we need to continue to, showcase those stories rather than the negative stories.